Alright, this video is to help you with your corrections to the quiz over 3.1 to 3.7. So you can fast forward to the questions that you need to see, or you can rewind to the questions that you need to see again. Starting with number 1, 1 and 2 are both finding the slope, and number 1 they give you a graph, and you can use any point on the graph. Say I start with this point and I go to this next point. The rise over the run will tell me the slope. So I'm going to rise by going down 1, which is -1, and run 2. And so the slope is -1/2. You can tell it's negative because it's going downhill. If the slope was positive, it would be going uphill. For number 2, they give you 2 points. So we're going to use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And in this particular example, y2 is 7 minus y1, which is -3. 7 minus -3 over 3 minus -2. So 7 minus -3 is the same thing as 7 plus a +3, which is 10. And 3 minus a -2 is the same thing as 3 plus a +2, which is 5. And 10 over 5 reduces to 2. Reduces to 2. And so the slope for number 2 is 2, +2. And then starting with number 3, we are graphing these equations, and the first 2 examples are examples of equations that are in slope-intercept form. And so number 3 is y equals 2/3 x minus 4. The -4 is the y-intercept, and that's where we're going to start on the graph, at the y-axis at -1, 2, 3, 4. This is the first point. But then the slope is 2/3, which means we're going to go up 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3. It's positive, so it's going uphill. 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3. And so this graph looks like this. If we take a look at number 4, same type of thing, except here the y-intercept is at +4, and the slope is -2. The -2 is the same thing as -2 over 1. So we're going to go down 2 and over 1, down 2 and over 1, down 2 and over 1. And all of those points, if you were to plug them into the equation, should be points that are on the line and make the equation true. Take a look at number 5. Number 5 is a little bit more difficult because it's in standard form. And so there's 2 ways to do this problem. The first way that many of us will do this problem is to plug in zeros and find the intercepts. For example, if I let x be 0, that means this whole term here is 0, and I have -4 times something gives me 8. Well, -4 times -2 gives me 8. And so 1 point is at the point 0, -2. That is the y-intercept. And then to find the x-intercept, we can let y be 0. And if I do let y be 0, this is 0, this term is 0, and 2 times something has to be 8, and that is 4. And so the other point is at the point 4, 0. Here's the x-intercept at 4, the y-intercept is at -2, and the line would go through those 2 points and look like this. Now another way to do this problem is to get the y by itself and put it into y equals mx plus b form, slope-intercept form. Well, in order to do that, we would start by subtracting 2x from both sides. And if I subtracted 2x from both sides, I would have -4y is equal to -2x plus 8. And then if I divide everything by -4 to get rid of the -4 in front of the y is going to equal -2 over -4, which is 1/2 x, and then 8 divided by -4 is -2. And this would start at -2, and the slope would be up 1 and over 2, up 1 and over 2. Either way you graph it is fine. Both of those ways will work. We move over to number 6, same kind of question. It is in standard form. And so we could make an x and y chart and plug in zeros to find the intercept. If x is 0, then y has to be 2 because 3 times 2 gives you 6. That would be a point right here. The y-intercept would be at +2. And then if I let y be 0, x is going to be 6. which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0. And the graph is going to look something like this. Well, then we could also do that by getting the y by itself. If I were to subtract x from both sides, I would have 3y equals negative x plus 6. If I divide both sides by 3, then y will equal negative 1/3 x plus 2. So this will start at positive 2 and then go down 1 and over 3. Down 1 and over 3. And that would be another way to graph number 6. On the back side, starting with number 7, it says write the following equation in standard form. And then be sure your answer does not have any fractions. So to put this equation here in standard form, we want to first get the x and the y on the same side of the equation. So we're going to add 2/3 x to both sides. Negative 2/3 x plus 2/3 x is nothing. So I would have 2/3 x plus y on the left-hand side of the equation, and that's going to equal 4 on the right-hand side of the equation. The problem with this is we have a fraction here, and we want to get rid of the fraction. So we're going to multiply everything by the denominator, which is 3. 3 times 2/3 x is just 2x. 3 times y is 3y. And 3 times 4 is 12. And so we get an equation that is 3x, or 2x plus 3y equals 12. Number 8. Here we have an equation that is in standard form, and we want to put it into slope-intercept form and then say what the slope is. So slope-intercept form is where the y is completely by itself. And so to get the y by itself, we're going to start by subtracting 4x from both sides. Because 4x minus 4x is nothing, and we'd have negative 2y equals negative 4x plus 6. Then I can divide everything by negative 2, and I would have y equals negative 4 over negative 2 is just positive 2x, and 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. And then the slope is 2. Moving down to number 9. It says write an equation of a line with a slope of negative 2 that goes through the point 3, negative 1. So this is we're going to start off using point slope form, which is y minus y1. In this case, it's going to be y plus 1 equals the slope, which is negative 2 times x minus 3. That's y minus y1 equals the slope, which is negative 2 times x minus x1. And x1 is 3. So I'm going to distribute. I'll have y plus 1 equals, if I distribute negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Then if I subtract 1 from both sides, then I'll have y equals negative 2x, and 6 minus 1 is 5. And that's what you should have for number 9. Number 10 and 11, we're going to write an equation that goes through the given points in slope-intercept form. So the first thing we're going to have to do for both of these is to find the slope. So for number 10, we're going to take y2 minus y1, that's negative 1 minus 1, over x2 minus x1, which is 1 minus negative 3. Well, negative 1 minus 1 is the same thing as negative 1 plus a negative 1, which is negative 2, over 1 minus a negative 3 is the same thing as 1 plus a positive 3, which is 4. That simplifies to negative 1/2 is our slope for number 10. And I'm going to pick the point negative 3, 1. So I will have y minus 1 equals the slope, which is negative 1/2 times x plus 3. This will give me y minus 1 equals, if I distribute my negative 1/2, it's going to be negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times 3 is negative 3/2. And then I will add 1 to both sides. So I'll have y equals negative 1/2 x. And then we have negative 3/2 plus 1. Well, 1 is the same thing as 2 over 2. Negative 3 over 2 plus 2 over 2 is negative 1 over 2. So my equation is y equals negative 1/2 x minus 1/2. And doing the same thing for number 11, first finding the slope, y2 minus y1 is 1 minus a negative 1 over 6 minus 3. 1 minus a negative 1 is 2, 6 minus 3 is 3, and so our slope is 2/3. And on this one, I'm going to use the second point. Doesn't have any negatives in it, so I'm going to go y minus 1 equals the slope, which is 2/3 times x minus 6. So I have y minus 1 equals, if I distribute, 2/3 x, and then 2/3 times negative 6 is negative 4. 6 times 2 is 12, 12 divided by 3 is 4. Then if I add 1 to both sides, I will have y equals 2/3 x minus 3. And that is the equation for number 11. And then the last equation, or the last problem, is number 12. It says, after babysitting for 3 hours, Marcy was paid $17. She was babysitting for 3 hours. She got paid $17. That's 1 point. On another occasion, she babysat for 5 hours, and she was paid $25. Write an equation for the amount she gets y after working x hours. So here's x hours, and y is the number of dollars that she gets. And then we want to know how much would she get paid if she worked for 8 hours. So we're going to first write this equation, which means we first have to find the slope. I'm going to take 25 minus 17, that's y2 minus y1, that's 8 over 5 minus 3, which is 2, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. That's our slope. That also means that she gets paid $4 per hour. To write our equation, though, I'm going to use this point. I'm going to have y minus 17 equals the slope, which is 4, times x minus the x value, which is 3. And if I distribute the 4, it's going to be 4x minus 12. 4 times 3 is 12. And if I add 17 to both sides, y will equal 4x plus 5. So she will get paid $4 for each hour plus $5 just for showing up. Which means if she works for 8 hours, 8 times 4 is 32, plus the 5, she will get paid $37. And that's because we plugged in the 8 for the x value. So again, I hope this video helped you make your corrections on your quiz. If you have more questions on it, we'll go over it tomorrow in class.